The idea of Linux on Android handhelds sounded like a side project for people who intentionally break things just so they can fix, tweak, and customize every little detail later. But recently, things started changing fast. New RockNix builds on devices like the Odin 2 portal looks good enough to make people seriously think there might actually be a future for Linux gaming on ARM devices. And I think there are pretty good reasons to be optimistic about this. GameHub or GameNative sure lets you play Windows games on Android, but those games run through a few extra compatibility layers beyond Proton. Running Linux directly means things are as native as on SteamOS on the Steam Deck. In theory, that should slightly reduce the performance impact. Now, before we start, it is important to understand that RockNix and Snapdragon devices is still pretty much in an experimental state. It still has bugs and setup headaches that most people probably should not use it as their daily driver yet. So do not take this video as a buying guide or setup tutorial. Think of this more like a look into where handheld gaming might be heading in the next few years. A lot of the reaction around recent RockNix nightly builds has been surprisingly positive because performance gains are actually visible. Games that either struggled before or refused to boot are now running properly. Most big AAA games from even the Witcher 3 era will not run reliably on current RockNix builds, but lightweight indie titles and native Linux ports run smoothly. For most smaller games, frame pacing feels smoother compared to Android translation layers. Native Linux games like Stardew Valley basically run exactly how you would want them to on a handheld, maintaining smooth gameplay while keeping the power draw lower. Now, that does not mean it is ready for everyone yet. This is still very much a power user setup. The biggest issue right now is sleep mode. Sometimes the handheld wakes up to a black screen, and sometimes it crashes the games completely. That removes one of the biggest conveniences of a portable device. There is also the file transfer issue. RockNix uses ext4, which Windows can't read. So dragging files onto an SD card becomes more annoying. Transferring games over Wi-Fi through SSH or FTP is an option, but it's slower and less beginner-friendly. And then there is the installation risk. Some users are comfortable flashing bootloaders and recovering devices if something goes wrong. Others are not. Right now, RockNix still feels like something you install because you enjoy tinkering. There are also smaller issues being reported here and there. Audio switching bugs, occasional stick calibration problems. Nothing catastrophic, but enough reminders that this is still evolving software. A lot of the excitement around RockNix is tied to the future of ARM gaming itself. Valve's improvement of Proton ARM support helps projects like this directly. Every improvement pushes these handhelds closer to proper Linux gaming without needing a big handheld. And that is pretty big stuff. Overall, the direction is very clear. Linux on Android handhelds is still a niche experiment. It is not fully polished yet, and casual users should probably wait a little longer. But the people who have used it, even with all the bugs and setup headaches, know how exciting the future of Linux on ARM handhelds could be.